announced for digital gold to be housed within the United States Treasury. That's a big thing, Scott.
Well, let's speak to Amanda Wick now. She's principal at Insight Consulting and author of the forthcoming book, The Catalysts, The Accelerating Forces Forging the New World Financial Order. First of all, just set out for us, when we're talking about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and everything that President Trump is doing at the White House today, what actually are we talking about there?
Well, I think that's an important distinction, because you'll note some people say a reserve and some people add stockpile. Reserve suggested that the government was going to purchase new, which is why people were upset. Stockpile is just basically keeping what the U.S. had already seized and not converting it into fiat.
Is it a remarkable thing for a president to do, holding a summit like this, gathering all those cryptocurrency bosses into the White House?
Yeah, it is. I think one of the Winklevi mentioned it, where they made a joke about they thought that they'd be there under different circumstances, perhaps under arrest. I think that's one of the more unfortunate things that the Biden administration caused, was that an entire industry felt under attack, and they felt that their only option for commercial success was for autocracy to come in unfortunately, yes. It was also interesting because there were rumors that it cost quite a bit to attend that summit. Days leading up to it, everyone was wondering, how do you get in? How do you get in? And it seemed like the answer at the end of the day was you donated quite a bit of money to Trump, or you paid a six-digit figure to attend.
Okay, now we don't have any reporting of that. We can't independently verify that. But one of the defining features about cryptocurrencies is there's not kind of countries leading it or dispensing it. Now that the United States has decided to have this kind of reserve and bring it all together and hold on to it, will that impact Bitcoin itself, how it's traded, what it's worth?
Yes and no. I mean, I think you saw that the prices went down because they indicated quite clearly that there would not be additional Bitcoin bought or purchased with U.S. government money. And Bitcoin's price tends to reflect news media announcements. It's very much volatile because of the perception of demand. And so I think from that perspective, Bitcoin itself will likely not be impacted that greatly until the U.S. government says it's going to purchase it, right? And kind of like impact that demand side. I think people tend to conflate Bitcoin with other cryptocurrencies and the technology that underlies it. The U.S. has fallen behind on the technology part, and countries that are building the tools that are the future of digital finance, many of them moved abroad. I don't know that anything done today, or that anything that they've talked about, will actually bring any of those countries and the technology that they're building to the United States, which is a real problem long-term in terms of economic development.
And just very briefly, Amanda, when President Trump, to your point there, has been saying he wants the United States to be the crypto capital of the world, if what you're saying there holds, that won't be possible.
They're going to have to bring a lot of real business outside of just simply Bitcoin mining. And even that's unclear, because you need cheap countries with low energy costs and cooling. So a lot of what he said was performative, and I think he does a really good job of telling people what they want to hear. But I think a lot of the crypto industry remains really skeptical beyond kind of like the baseline horrible things that the Biden administration did, and just eliminating that, what he'll actually do to drive real economic improvement in the industry.
Okay, Amanda Wick of Insight Consulting, thank you for joining us here on BBC News.
Okay,
thank you for having me.
Let's bring Matt Terrell and Marianne Marsh back into this discussion. Matt, sometimes when we try to illustrate this story, we use images of coins or tokens. But of course, you know, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, they're not coins, physical coins or tokens, are they? They're a digital currency. So, I mean, what do you think Donald Trump, the White House administration task force, is trying to do with this? Is it trying to put cryptocurrency on the same level as traditional currencies? As one review I read talked about integrating it into the fabric of global finance. Is that possible?
Well, I think first and foremost, President Trump is just trying to deliver first and foremost on the promise he made during the campaign trail. And that was for the United States to be the crypto capital of the world. And I think he recognizes that a big part of this is that countries like China, others are out there mining for Bitcoin, going on the offensive on this. So we'll see what happens to your question, to answer your question with respect to how this is regulated or how this is, put in place into the market. But look, at the end of the day, this isn't the first time that the United States has gone out and gathered assets, if you will, or stockpiled assets. We've seen the United States do that before with military capabilities, medical capabilities, as well as with gold. So, look, I don't think any of this is too new. I think obviously this is something that needs to be unpacked further. A lot of questions out there about how will this be regulated. Will it or will not be taxed? Or to your point and to your question, how is this weaved into the United States, the marketplace as a whole? I think we just wait and see how that is done. But at the end of the day, this is something that President Trump campaigned on. It's something he promised he would do. I think today is just one step going forward here, but a big step in terms of making sure that the president fulfills that promise of bringing this into the fold and making sure that he fulfills that promise of making the United States the crypto capital of the world.
Marianne, do you think making the U.S. or trying to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the world is something that's good for the American public?
I think it's a risky proposition for many reasons, including two that you spoke about at the beginning of this segment. One is money laundering, and the other is the opportunity to ingratiate the current president of the United States. The Trump family has a newly established fund, World Liberty Fund, that deals in crypto. We had an example this week of a Chinese crypto entrepreneur, Justin Sun, who in December purchased $30 million worth of Bitcoin and put it from that fund. And it's something that the entire Trump family can benefit from, and Donald Trump included, while he's president of the United States. He was under investigation under the Biden administration by the Securities and Exchange Commission. This week, the Trump Securities and Exchange Commission joined with Justin Sun and sent a letter to a federal judge asking that his case against him be dropped. So that should concern everybody.
You have conflict of interest concerns, clearly.
Obviously, and this is just but one example. One other quick thing, there are people, Trump supporters, who want to replace the dollar with crypto, and that would upend the global currency order and monetary funds around the world, and that would be very damaging.
Okay, well, we're going to have a quick chat about the high points and low points of the week, so do stay with us for that. Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News.